This is going to be a fairly quick tutorial on using the basic story aspects of Twine, creating links and moving from creating passages, creating links, and moving from passage to passage. There is a cheat sheet on D2L, so if you go into the content area of D2L for our class and drop down to this week's work, you will see a Twine Basics cheat sheet for all of the things that we're going to be discussing. I just wanted to make certain that there was some visual elements for you to follow. So we're going to click on the Twine Basics, and you can see, and with this you can kind of cut and paste if you'd like to do these various basic things. So we're going to go into Twine. I'm going to actually move this tab into a new window. Let's move our Twine Basics over here and open this window here. Split screen, I guess. And we're going to start a new game, right, or a new story. So to do that, when you go into Twinery, and here I'm using the online version, either way it'll look exactly the same. When you go to story, you're simply going to click on the new button. That new button is going to create a story. So we're going to go my cool new game, and apologies, I have a mechanical keyboard and I'm using a mic, and it might be picking that up a lot, so apologies in advance for the clickety clacks. So we're going to hit create, and this is what you're going to see when making a new game. Right, we are on our first passage. So looking at this first passage, what we're going to do here is we're going to double click it. We can rename this passage. Let's just rename it Start, and we'll hit OK. When we do that, you can see that the name of the passage has changed, and this is the body of the passage. So this is where we're going to type all of our story elements and create the narrative for our game. Right, so here, let's just say, welcome to my cool new, I can almost type, game. Let's get ready to play. Right, and now we want to take them to another passage in the game and have them start to play the game. So we can do this one of two ways. And what I'm doing here is I am looking at these basic commands right here. And that is the basic commands for jumping to another passage, right? So we're going to go from our start page to another passage. And the easiest way to do that is to simply hit return a couple of times and then use double square brackets like that and type in what you want the next passage to be. So if we double do that, so we opened with a set of square brackets, we type whatever we want the passage title to be, and then we end with a double set of square brackets again. So we close those square brackets, and you can see, right, while I was doing that, Twine has created another passage called Play the Game, right? We could do the same thing, but instead of crafting this right here, right, so let's get rid of this link to play the game, and you can see that deleted the passage play the game. But what if we wanted ready to play to be the link, right? But we want it still to go to play the game, right? So what we're going to do is we're going to now use this syntax right here. That is, we are going to wrap let's get ready to play into a we're going to wrap ready to play into a link, right? And that link is going to take us, and here we're using the pipe key. That is there's an up and down on most keyboards. It's above the return key, typically with the / key. So you're going to click on the pipe, and then you're going to type what you want the title of the next passage to be. All right, so we'll just say start the game, and then we'll close that again with our square brackets, right? And when we did this, what we'll see is ready to play, which is going to show up in the text of the game, is now going to go to the passage called start the game. And you can see, right, that Twine has created a new step for start the game. So we can wrap text in a link, or we can make a direct link by just creating a passage, right? And so you can see secondary start was created. So what does this mean? Well, if we test this out, if we go back up here and we use the tab tool up here, test from here, what this will do is it'll open our game up in a web browser and allow us to see how this works. Right, so now, welcome to my cool new game. Let's get ready to play. So we can see the ready to play, and that is this ready to play right here is wrapped in a link, and that link is going to take us to start the game, right? Or we have a secondary start button here, and that is a simple link, right, like that. So that's the easiest, the easy way to make links. So let me show you how this might work in terms of kind of choice and things like this. So let's get rid of the secondary start. We'll leave ready to play wrapped as the start the game, and we're going to double click into here. And now let's say you bolt up from sleep, not totally sure where or who you are. The room seems vaguely familiar, but right, and then you're going to create another couple of passages, maybe. Look around the room. Look at yourself. Is there a person in a chair over there? Right, and so we've given our player 3 choices, even if they are misspelled. Oops, still can't type. Oh boy, I'm having trouble. Look at yourself. There we go. Right, so we've created 3 new passages. Look around the room. Look at yourself. Is there a person in the chair over there? And you can see here, right, that the player now has a choice of these 3 options. From those 3 options, right, we could, let's say, is there a person in the chair? A dark and cloaked, I can't spell, figure seems to be sitting in the chair across from your bed. And then maybe you're going to give them a couple more choices. Your eyes adjust and you can just make out its features. And let's say we want to wrap this in, again, a pipe to person in chair, like that. But you're still unsure where you are or who you are. Right? And then in this instance, maybe we want to give the player the opportunity to go back to those other choices, right? Which is look at yourself. So if I hit the double brackets and I start typing, it will offer passages that already exist. So we'll just simply hit look at ourself, right? And it closes it for us. And you can see now the arrow goes back to look at ourself. We could do this. Look around the room. So we're going to look around the room, or now maybe we want to give them another option, right? Where they get out of the bed. Right, so now our game is getting a little bit more complicated with this, right? Within this story, there's now on this particular passage 1, 2, 3, 4 choices. 2 of those choices going back to passages that we had already created. 1 going to an original passage here, get out of bed, and another that's in text wrapped around this features. So let's make sure that the person here, so the features, so that is going to the passage person in chair, right? So here, you wipe the sleep from your eyes and realize that it's not a person, just your clothes draped across the chair. You recognize your sweatshirt, and maybe we want to just have that described. You recognize your sweatshirt, and you see your pants, and maybe we'll have them. Right. So we're going to wrap both of those into we're going to wrap both of those into passages, right? So sweatshirt and pants are going to become going to become choices for our player. And then maybe we go something like, you still don't know who you are, and then we'll wrap who you are into double brackets, right? And maybe we'll want that one to go to look at yourself, right? Or where you are, and we want where you are to go to, we'll use the pipe again, right? And we want this one to go to look around the room, like that. And you can see now person in chair has the choice of going to look at yourself, look around the room, sweatshirt, and pants, right? And so if the player chooses sweatshirt, the sweatshirt is very familiar and looks comfortable. And we're going to go back to person in chair, right? And then we could do kind of the same thing for pants. Right. You see your pants. We see what appear to be a pair of jeans. Their pockets. The pockets look full. Right. And then maybe we're going to search pockets. Right. Actually, we'll just do that. Or we're going to go back to we'll just hit return, and that one will go back to person in chair, right? So now we've got search pockets, right? And then we could be kind of cheeky and say you'd have to get out of the bed to do that. And then this would just return and go back to person in chair, like that. So now everything heads back to person in chair, and person in chair still will allow us to go to look at yourself and look around the room. So we could then go to look at ourselves and look around the room. Right. Let's say you examine your body and everything seems familiar and in order. It might be time to get out of bed. Do we have a get out of bed? Or is it just suggesting? Get out of bed. Right. Move this, oops. All right, so now we've got get out of bed there. So we're creating this, and I've got a lot over here. I need to move my story stuff over. Oops. We'll go to get out of bed. Where is get out of bed? Why am I not seeing it? Having some issues here. Let's pull this up. Huh. Strange. Anyway, so right. And then look around the room. Let's make look around the room work. So we are going to you scan the room from your bed. You see familiar furnishings and pictures on the dresser that look you recognize, or something like that. Right. And then we'll get out of bed. Right. And we're off to, we're going to go to, should be able to go to get out of bed from here. We want to go to get out of bed. Not sure why we can't see get out of bed. Let me close these. I've been having issues with my browsers lately. Another reason why you might want to do this from the app itself. I'm going to close that. I'm going to go back to cool new game, which should be wow, they did not save. I'm totally not seeing it, sorry. Could have sworn we titled it. Let me why am I not seeing that? I know you're all yelling at the screen at the moment. Oh, no, there it is. There it is right there. My cool new game. Sorry. And it's still hiding that over there. Select all. Let's move those over here. There we go. Center them up. Then we can deselect them all. And now we can see, sorry about that, that was a weird aside, but it just goes to show how you can get sidetracked. The other thing I could have done there that I just realized as I was freaking out because I'm trying to talk through this all is we could have just hit the show passage names only or show the story structure only. We could also zoomed in and out as well. So, right, just to kind of find these. So you can drag your stories around. So if you select all, you can drag this around the work environment so that you can do that. So now let's click on get out of bed. Right. And let's say maybe so this you emerge from the cocoon of your bed and realize that you've been in your room the whole time. Man, that was a rough night. you can hear your partner rummaging around the kitchen. You decide it's time for coffee. That's going to make a new passage called coffee. All right. You take a sip of coffee and the night floods back into your memory. It was a great night. Right, yay, winner. Right, and so now we're going to end at coffee. So in that quick little moment in time, right, we have established a brief narrative from this start. So if we go up to start here and we hit test the story from here, we can start our game, right? And when you're in the testing environment, you can see down here that there is a debug view. That debug view will be important when we get to using variables and other macros and elements of game creation within Twine that are a little bit more complicated. And this essentially sets up a test environment for you to see if the game is actually working. With straight passage, just links to straight passages like we're doing within this game, right? The testing environment really is here, and you can kind of see if you create and you want to make sure that all of, right, so let's say we put start the game right here. We've got get out of bed. That's kind of towards the end of the game, so we might want to put that down here. We have our person in a chair. We have our look at ourselves. We have look around the room. We know that sweatshirt and search pockets and pants are all a part of this passage, right? So, and you can kind of organize your game in a way, right, visually, that you can see that the game, all right, that the links are all making sense. And so if you had, right, so if we did a new passage, which we can do, right, we can just hit, see we're in the passage area, we can hit new passage like that. This passage is a part of the game, but it's not connected to anything. So if we didn't see arrows connecting it clearly, it's a passage that needs to either be connected or be useful in some ways. We'll talk about why you might want to use a passage like that as we get a little bit more advanced. But going back to the game itself, right, so welcome to my cool new game. Let's get ready to play. We click on ready to play. You bolt up from sleep, not totally sure, spelled wrong, where you are or who you are. The room seems vaguely familiar, but you look around the room, you scan the room from your bed, you see familiar furnishings and pictures on the dressers that you recognize. Maybe I want to add a return, but there always is this back button that we could use. So maybe we do want to go back. Right. You bolt up from sleep. Maybe we're going to look at ourselves. Right. Might be time to get out of bed, or we can use the back button, or you could build in a button for people to return back to the bed. Is there a person in the chair over there? We click on that. A dark cloaked figure seems to be sitting in the chair across from your bed. Your eyes adjust and you can just make out its features. You wipe the sleep from your eyes and realize it's not a person, it's just your clothes draped across the chair. You recognize your sweatshirt and you pants. Right, so if we go sweatshirt, The sweatshirt's familiar and looks comfortable. Your pants. You see what appear to be a pair of jeans. The pockets look full. Search pockets. You'd have to get out of bed to do that. Return. Right. You still don't know who you are. Right. Or where you are. And we'll talk about ways of making this a little bit more, a little less clunky in the next couple of videos. But for right now, really want to get you kind of used to thinking about these passages and links, and how just using a simple set of links can create depth in a game, right? And create essentially the illusion of choice for your player as they're reading through the game that you're establishing, right? You emerge from the cocoon of your bed, realize you've been in the room the whole time. Man, that was a rough night. You can hear your partner rummaging around the kitchen. You decide it's time for coffee. You take a sip of coffee, the night floods back. It was a great night, and the game comes to an end, right? So we've gone through the structure of the game. We've checked to see if it worked. And as we were checking to see if it worked, one of the things that we realized is like here on where was it? It was in the person in the chair area, right? And these other places where we might want to create a better kind of navigation scheme. And we'll talk a little bit more about navigation schemes in the next video or in the coming videos. Let me also just kind of jump back here. I'm going to get out of full screen and jump back. So in these passages, the other thing that you can do to bring kind of visual interest to the game is to stylize the text. And this is done either through inline CSS. So if you know some CSS or HTML markup language, you'll be able to, or even markup. All three of those should make this feel very familiar. So if you wanted to, let's say here, you bolt up from sleep. Let's say we wanted that to be bold. Oops, did I just close D2L? Oh, I just hit it. Let's say we wanted that to be bold, right? All you have to do is wrap that in a bold text. So you'll do a less than, B, and greater than, and then you would close that with a less than / B greater than, like that. And if we go to play this now and test from here, you can see that that has gone bold. You can use, if you don't want to do the and I just did air quotes to myself, if you don't want to do the coding part of this, you can also use, and this is new to this version of Twine, you can use the tool palettes that are here, and they can do, so like they can do some bold, italic, strike through, superscript, and a bunch of other effects that you can mess about with using the tools. You can also use the same tools to change the colors, right, of that text. So if we change that color to orange like that, you can see what it's going to look like. If I hit add, it writes the macro for you, which changes the color of you. So if we go to play this, you can see that it has changed the color. Right. You can mess around with borders around things. You can mess around with text rotation. You can do some alignment, column, and other things like that within text. So these tools are available to you and will do most of the things that these code snippets will do as well, right? I'll get into the transitions and into text effects, as well as do some adding images and other things like that in another video. I really wanted this to be about text and to be about doing those simple passage transitions, or the links from passage to passage.